For today. So welcome everybody to our International Women in Engineering Day event. My name is Claire Linfield. I am the Marketing and Communications Manager for Stantec in the Middle East, and I'm going to be facilitating the event today. So just for some housekeeping when we get started, and we will be recording the session just to let people know. And then participants apart from our panel will be muted during the first part of the event, just to allow us to have a panel discussion, and then there will be chance for question and answers afterwards. So welcome again. Like I said, I'm the Marketing Communications Manager for Stantec in the Middle East, but I did actually start my career in a technical field. I studied environmental sciences, and I was a land and water quality consultant for quite a few years, doing my time out on site, taking samples, working with labs, that sort of thing. But I'm also a member of the Stantec Inclusion and Diversity Council, and I'm really passionate about making sure that we open up as many opportunities as we can for female architects and engineers at every level across the business. The more people we get at entry level, the more chance we have of getting a really good gender diversity across our whole business, all levels through the operation. So really excited about today. So on to today's format, what I think I will do, I'll switch things around a little bit. First of all, I'd like all our panelists to introduce themselves. So I'm going to start with, I'm just going to go in the order I can see them on my screen. I'm going to start with Shahad. If you could unmute your mic. Shahad, you need to unmute your microphone.
You do it, I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm Shahad al-Shahrani. I have architecture background. I work as a senior officer in Diriyah Authority. This is based in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And I'm currently working on a project called Diriyah Square, which is a mega project. And I hopefully can see, people can see it by the end of 2025.
Thanks, Shahad. Okay, Leslie, you're up.
Hi, everybody. My name is Leslie Desfort. I'm a civil engineering by graduate. I work for Stantec as Regional Operations Manager for the water business here in the Middle East. I've been in the Middle East for a long number of years, 33 years now in total, and worked on a variety of projects in that time. Thoroughly enjoying my current role and delighted to be part of this panel.
Thanks, Leslie. Okay, I'm going to go Sheikha next, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Sheikha Sheikh. I graduated with a bachelor's in civil engineering. I have a master's in engineering management, and I'm currently the head of planning and design of drainage systems in Dubai municipality. And yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, Sheikha. Inas? Oh, Inas, you're also on mute.
Hi, everybody. My name is Inas. I am a head section of stormwater design. I work in the Public Authority of Road and Transportation since 1998. I have master degree in management also, and that's all.
Thank you, Inas. Welcome. And then last but not least, Sausan.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Sausan Al-Sharif. I'm also a civil engineer. It's good to see all these nice ladies today, civil engineering background. I have over 25 years of experience. Transitioning from technical up to senior management role. I'm currently the operations manager in Stantec for the building and infrastructure business unit.
Thanks, Alison. Great. Okay, well, what I'm just going to quickly do before we dive into the Q&A section, I really want to know a little bit more about our audience. So I'm just going to launch a quick poll. Feel free to join in. I'd love to know where people are joining us from today. And the panel can also take part in this as well. Okay, so we've got people from Qatar, we've got some people from Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates. Okay, hopefully there'll be a few more people joining and I want to take part. So what I'll do is I'll save our second poll till a little bit later in the event, and then I will dive into the questions and answers. So I'm going to start with you, Sausan. I'm really curious, really for everyone on the call here, what inspired you to pursue a career in engineering? What got you going?
Well, at the beginning, I wanted to be actually a computer engineer and programming, coding. I just love coding. So I actually traveled 3 countries around to achieve that, but I ended up in Lebanon registering for the communication and electrical engineering faculty. So I was told that this is the closest to computer engineering. So in the first year while I was around the faculty, I saw those civil engineers going around the faculty holding their T-ruler. I don't know if anyone remember that, the long T-ruler. You have your drawings wrapped around it and you hold it everywhere. So I was curious and I attended one of their drawing classes to see what they can do with that ruler. And I just loved it. I loved how they can draw those 3D objects and transfer it into 2D following some concepts. And I thought I want to be able to do that and I will enjoy it. So figuring it out how things would fit together at the end, it was interesting to me, especially satisfying when all come together after you follow those engineering concepts. So I shifted to civil engineering and I ended up having my T-ruler around the faculty everywhere I go. That was before AutoCAD, of course. I mean, now we don't hold it anymore, AutoCAD and softwares that we have. So to make it simple, it was the T-ruler.
That's a really nice story. Thanks, Alison. So I want to ask Shahad the same question, more from, I guess, from an architectural background.
Yeah. At the beginning, I wasn't, as same as Sausan, I wasn't pursuing architecture or engineering in general. I was actually applying for medicine school. And I actually got acceptance in medicine school. But alhamdulillah, thankfully, my father have suggested that I should apply for architecture specifically. And that reason is because of, first, of course, engineering is a great opportunity for me, especially as a female in Saudi. And also the fact that I like drawing as a hobby since I was a child. So it would give me a boost in architecture school. So yeah, I applied for both medicine and engineering at the same time. Sorry, architecture. And I got accepted in both, but at the end of the day, architecture won at this game. And thankfully, alhamdulillah, I see architecture or engineering in general suitable for me more than medicine school.
Thanks, Shahad. That's another really nice story. I think, you know, a lot of us get inspired by our family and people we look up to as well. And yeah, that's interesting. Thank you. Great. So I'm going to ask Shaker now. We'll move on. So Shaker, you've had a really quite a dynamic career so far, and we know each other well. So can you just share with our audience what can you look forward to when you're pursuing a career in engineering?
That's a good one. I wish that I would have asked that question when I first started out. I think, like a lot of engineers, engineering might have not been the #1 discipline I wanted to pursue. But what I ended up knowing and getting out of it is basically solving problems and challenges. I think that's the most exciting part, and it's the most invigorating part. When that eureka moment, that we got it moment, is the best thing out of long meetings, long workshops and sessions. Standing on site and trying to resolve different interests and different points of views, and all conclusively agreeing this is the right way forward for the benefit of the project and the different stakeholders. Maybe to put it very shortly, teamwork and solving the problems that you and putting that last piece of the puzzle. That's the most exciting part to me.
Thanks, Shaker. I can see Leslie nodding and agreeing. Leslie, would you add to that?
I would absolutely agree with Sheikha, and I'd add to it that for me, absolute variety. No day is ever Groundhog Day in this career path. Sometimes you're working with HR. I find myself working with our finance teams. I'm working with the engineering disciplines, and this is in my current role. And right back at the beginning of my career, I started out in geotechnical engineering. And then when I moved to the Middle East, I found that really there was about a half a metre of sand and then just pretty much solid rock. And so that wasn't very exciting. I missed my clays. So I moved into water and wastewater engineering. And so it's just been such a variety. And yeah, as I say, no day as ever goes to plan either. So you sort of roll with the change and enjoy that as well.
Thanks, Leslie. It's really great. So we haven't heard from you yet, Inas. So I've got the question I've got for you. I'm really curious. You know, engineers do a lot of really fantastic things, great work. What do you think is your proudest moment? You know, how do you feel you've made a mark on the engineering industry?
As a civil engineer, it's given me a great pride when when my team and I finish a project that has a huge impact on people's lives, because we are designing the infrastructure. They are waiting. They want to go to their houses. They want to build their houses. So the infrastructure is the main things. We have to finish it in the beginning of the project. So when we finish this infrastructure, people will be happy to they can take their land and build their houses. So this is my great, my proud moment for me.
Definitely, it's so nice to, yeah, when you're talking about connecting the work that we do to the people in the community around us. I mean, that's what engineers do, really. At the end of the day, it's about what you design and produce and the impact that it has and the benefits that it gives to the community, whether it's a road for them to get to their houses, whether it's some of the drainage works that you do to make sure that those roads don't flood so they can still get to their houses, all of that different stuff. That's a nice story. Who else was I going to ask this question to? I'm going to ask Salson next. Oh, Salson, you're on mute now.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree and relate to all of that. Yeah, being an engineer, being able to see the project that you have delivered and participated in and managed all around when you go around and people talking about it. Yeah, that's very nice. For me, it's all of it. It's the full journey from transitioning from a technical engineer to the senior management role. I loved it all. I loved all the journey, but there was a period during that career that I'm very proud of, which is most important for me. When I worked with the graduate engineer for 2 years, I was their mentor and guardian. I was able to help them while they're starting their career, since they graduated from the university. And actually to see them now making the same transition from technical engineer going higher in their positions and taking wider directions and have variety of expectation, and to be able to be part of this journey with them, I would say that was my proudest achievement.
Thanks, Al. You can tell how passionate you are about that as well. That's really, it's nice to see. And I know I see you in the office as well, kind of about and around with people and working with them and helping them. And it's just really great to see. Leslie, same question for you. I know you've got a slightly different answer, but a really interesting one.
Well, I guess being able to hone it down into one sort of moment of pride, again, sort of comparing with my colleagues on the panel, in my early days designing here in the Middle East, a lot of the infrastructure was retrospective, if you like. So the houses had been built and they were all on septic tanks, often not maintained. And so overflowing. It's not a nice subject, but it's factual. And so to be actually designing a sewer network to put all of those onto a system and designing pumping stations that even to this day, let me see, 25 years later are still functioning, still operational is, I guess, a really proud thing for me. And then also as a result of a long number of years of effort and hard work, I suppose, being given the FICE, so Fellowship of the Institution of Civil Engineers, Clare, and then also for SciWen, and having, I guess, my mum able to witness that, being given that honour was a real highlight for me in my career.
Definitely. And I know chartership and getting that continuing professional development is very, very important in engineering. And you'll hear a lot, I'm sure, of sort of more senior engineers sort of pushing people to go for their chartership and all the benefits that brings. Thank you, Leslie. So Shahad, I'm going to go back to you now. So what so far, what's made a difference to you, or what's sort of mattered most to you when making decisions about your career? You know, our career paths, they move about, they go sideways, different directions. What's guided you in your career? Oh, you're on mute, Shahad. This is the problem with a web event and a live event.
Sure. So I was saying, I was fortunate to have a few figures that guided me through my, I'm not going to say short career, but so far a few years in experience. I had magnificent, of course, my father, and also my previous manager and my current manager. I always head to them when I need a few advices, but also I have my inner intuition, you could say. I'm currently working in projects that specifically caters to the public experience. So we're enhancing the quality of pedestrians and retail and tourist spots in Saudi. And one of the things that fuels me when I see people actually using those spaces, for example, I was working in the metro project in 2018, and I was working in both the urban and the architectural design. And I think last year or maybe 2 years before, they opened one of those spaces for the pedestrians to use, the urban parts of the project. So every time I pass by the place and I show my family that I have worked on this, specifically this area, and I can see people taking pictures there and taking their dogs for a walk or using bicycles, and this stuff wasn't available like 5 years ago in Saudi because of the urban design of the city. So having these quality spaces contributing to the society, these things direct me to what exactly I need to be working on. So yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing Diriyah Gate. It's somewhere I've not been yet, so it's on my list, definitely. I'm going to do my best to get there soon. Okay, Sheikha, what about you? What's made a difference to you in your career in terms of from a decision making, the path that you've taken?
Well, funny enough, I think, and don't quote me on this, but I think I might be the first engineer in my family. So I didn't have the same experience as a couple of engineers who had their parents or their grandparents or the fewer past generations to look up to and to take over from. So for me, it was completely different. But I was very fortunate enough, to those who don't know, I actually started at Stantec. So I was very, very fortunate enough to have a lot of mentors that I worked with, a lot of people that kind of guided me in my early years. So, well, I had a lot of, obviously as a fresh graduate, you have ambitions, you have goals, you have dreams you want to attain, and you need to hone them down a bit, try to direct the energy in the right places. So I was very fortunate to be part of the mentorship program at Stantec. I was given a lot of sessions with my mentor, who gave me, with all his responsibilities, always meet the right time, and I would always convey the concerns, and he would always kind of coach me through it. That helped me a lot. And one of the tips that he did give me was the fact to look at, look at role models, look at engineers you look up to. or think you can look up to and that inspire you on a day-to-day basis. And that's actually what I did. I know where I want to reach. I know what goals I have, and I know where I want to end up 40, 50 years down the line. So what I ended up doing is checking their CV, their biography. What did they do? What did they attain? What different experiences? Where did they work? What sort of credentials did they end up attaining? And that's a roadmap I drew for myself. I basically started ticking those boxes. And this is why I'm also now, I started my PhD around a year and a half ago in architecture and sustainable built environment. I'm trying to diversify my knowledge, I know climate change is a big thing, but the built environment is a big thing. I'm very keen about carbon reduction, reducing global warming potential. I just kind of started looking at the different areas that I think we really need to take into account in the future as we progress, especially as engineers. Again, being part of in the infrastructure industry, I think we're very fortunate enough, as Leslie said, to touch so many lives. So it's very important for me to look at different people who worked in this sector. What did they do? What achievements they did? It's very exciting knowing we're planning assets that are going to last from 25 to 50 years. I'm very proud that I worked on the Deep Tunnel program in Dubai, an asset for 100 years. So hopefully the next generations to come will know I had an impact in their lives, whether they choose to believe so or not. But I know there is an infrastructure 60 meters below ground that I had something to do with. So yeah, it was really looking into role models. Mentorship is very important, and for you to actually look up to your mentor and look at them for inspiration. Nonetheless, my parents are my biggest role models, but they were not engineers, so I had to look at the other side of the coin, if you will.
I bet they've learned a lot from you, Sheikha. But there's a lot they know about the infrastructure of Dubai that they never thought they would ever know.
They didn't think of, they had no idea of a lot of things I came to share with them.
Yeah, there you go. They're learning too. Amazing. Okay, I'm going to go back to Inas now. You know, we all learn lessons. You know, every lesson that we make, whether it's through a project or if we've made a mistake or if we've done something particularly well, whatever the case may be, they all kind of direct us and they all help us. So Inas, what do you think is the most important lesson you've learned so far that you'd like to share?
I think never stop learning. This is the most important lesson. How many years I work, how many projects I have go through, I should never stop learning, because I will always meet the people who have more experience than me. So I shouldn't be worried from that. I should work with them, to, learn from their experience. It will grow my personality, from my. It will be benefit for my work. So non-stop learning. This is the most important. How many years I should learn every day, and being successful at work comes from working as a team. This is my belief. We should work always at a team to have the good result. So this is what I learned. Big project cannot done by one person. So working as a team is very, very important for me.
It's a really strong theme here, isn't there, about learning and mentorship and teamwork. And so, Sausan, how about you? What's your most important lesson you think you've learned?
Well, besides never stop learning, that's a very important message that Inas gave. For me, it was you learned it you really learned it hard, which is communications. So technical knowledge as an engineer, it's very important, but your ability to speak, write, read, and listen to your audience it could surpass sometimes your technical knowledge and experience. So for me, the effective communication it's very important and requires understanding of your audience, of your team, and for them it's a matter of how can you relate the message back to them? So if you could be able to deliver that message to your team and your client, that will add up to your technical experience. I mean, engineers, they should have the ability to clearly communicate and, I mean, confidently be present there and present their ideas and decision making and doing presentation, even in reporting. It is very important, and sometimes a poorly delivered message can turn into misunderstanding, to tension, to frustration, and even sometimes you could be misjudged based on the way you communicate with others. So yes, I learned in the hard way, but I mean, the more we learn, as Ina said, the more we will be better.
That's a nice answer. I like that, Sausan. Have you got another perspective to add to that, Shahad?
Yes, actually. I believe in social skills also. As much as technical skills are important, as Ms. Sausan said, so is social skills. You have to be a sufficient team member. You have to be a nice or a great talker. As presenting, for example, it's one of the major components of being an engineer, presenting solutions or solution maker. Creating connections, for example, that's one of the most important things in your career that you should consider. So as much as the technical is important, also the social skills, if it's not more important even.
Definitely agree with that. Right, I want to go back to Leslie. So Leslie, you've had a really successful career, and I'm sure you've got some really great advice that you would give to aspiring engineers and architects in terms of the next step in their career. We've got a whole range of people in the audience, but what would be your general advice?
So again, to reflect what my colleagues on the panel have said, keep learning. That you look for every opportunity to investigate or be part of something that is new to you. I also think you've got to keep an open mind about opportunities. Sometimes something that might not appear to be a great next step in your career might just take you to that point. And I always remember, somebody that I sort of looked up to as a mentor saying nobody's career goes in that direction all the time. Sometimes it just plateaus and then will lift again. But in sort of everyday life, I totally endorse what Enas was saying about just keep learning.
Thanks, Leslie. Sheikha, what about you? What advice would you give?
Well, other than, I think, making sure you do have a mentor, I think that's very important, and a mentor and a coach. I mean, this will everyone has been emphasizing learning is a process, and you need to make sure when you learn, it's the technical skills, it's the administrative skills, and it's the social skills. It's very important to make sure you tick all the boxes, and always be curious. Someone recently said, it's good to ask questions. We always hear someone say, don't, ask questions, don't worry about the dumb questions, but it's not about them being dumb questions, it's having the right place and the right time to ask them. I think it's very, very important to be curious, and be curious with your mentor, be curious with your coach, and don't be afraid to take a leap of faith. Leslie just talked about your career will not always be just going up. You're gonna have those dips. You're gonna have those moments where you question everything you've done. So having the right people around you, I keep on saying mentor because it made a difference with me and my career path. Having the right person to go to and question the days where you have those thoughts, and when you feel things are not typically going your way, go to them, ask for guidance, seek some inspiration from their experience, from the challenges they went through and how they overcame it. There will always be something to learn from them, always something to take by and use as you go through your day.
Thanks, Sheikha. So last but not least, Anat, have you got any advice that you'd like to share with our people on the audience?
Yes. Every day is not going to be the best day. So the difficult day can be just another way to grow in both our career, on their career, and in life in general. So we always should look to the bright side. We have to look to the bright side. So difficult, when I face difficult, I shouldn't be stopped. I have to fix it. I have to learn from other people. I have to find a way to solve my problem. So this is what I learn, what I like to advise the others for this one. And also they should focus on developing their strength, to have more skill and many different things. They have to focus, they have to learn, they have to know what is the technology now. Because all of this will affect our work or their work in general.
Thanks, Ines. That's great. Lots of passion, lots of great advice. Really, thank you very much for all your inputs. Really appreciate it. And I think anyone at any stage in their career will, have had something to learn from what you've said. We all need to be reminded sometimes of, what's important. So what we'll do now, I'm just gonna launch another quick poll. Now we've got quite a few more people on the call, and just find out a little bit more about our audience, and then we'll jump into some Q&A. So just bear with me 1 second. So I want to find out a bit about our audience and what your specialism is in terms of engineering and architecture. So hopefully it should pop up on the screen. And maybe I should have put on other, because will be people maybe who don't fit into these categories. People voting. Okay, I don't see anyone voting on this one, so we'll leave that if people aren't keen to share, or there's something gone technically wrong. So apologies if that's the case. So let's go into some Q&A. So what we can do is, in your window, everybody should see a Q&A icon right up the top of the screen, hopefully. So to our audience, hopefully you can see that icon. So you can either click that icon and type your question in, and then we'll run through those questions. Or if you would like to speak and verbalize your question, also no issues. Please go to the reactions and raise your hand. What I'll do, actually, I'll just share my screen so I can demonstrate that. Just 1 second. And then I will, oops, I need to go back to the other screen. Yeah, so if you want to ask a question, you can either use the Q&A here, or if you just go to reactions and then raise your hand, we should be able to see who in the audience has raised their hand, and we can then allow access to your microphone. So I'm going to put my hand down and then open the Q&A window and stop sharing my screen. So over to the audience, what questions would you like to ask our panel? There's always a bit of silence while people think. Here we go, straight away we've got a hand up. Preetha, are you going to help out with this, with the hands up? Got Shafia. Let me see if I can allow. Okay, Shafia, I'm going to allow your mic. Hopefully you can speak up now.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
First of all, I'd like to thank the panel for the informative discussion. It was really insightful. My question is, I think something that bothers a lot of us as women and young girls is that about career gaps. A lot of us wonder what to do during those gaps, because we are kind of torn between, family and work? And how do you suggest we navigate through these gaps, you know, in our career? How do we keep ourselves updated? How do we get back in, you know, after a gap? My question is to all. Anyone can answer. So thank you.
A great question. Who would like to answer that one? Everyone's going to be quiet. I'm going to pick on somebody if somebody's not going to answer it.
I think, although
Leslie.
I haven't had one, I think that probably the onus is also on the person who's taken the career gap to maintain contact throughout that gap. So if you're leaving to have your children, your family, for whatever reason, maintain constant contact so that it makes the transition and coming back into the workplace easier. You know, just it takes nothing to just pop into the office if you still are in that office environment, and just keep in touch with your colleagues through that period would be my advice.
Thanks, Leslie. We've actually had Nahid, who's our HR manager at Stantec, actually just ping me and say, I can help you answer that as well. And she's obviously a great person to do that. So and I know Nahid also has a family. So let me allow Nahid's mic. Are you there, Nahid?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Excellent. Hello, everyone. My name is Nahid. I'm the head of HR at Stantec, and I do know a lot about this as I've taken some gaps myself. As Leslie was saying, I totally agree. You have to maintain your network and, if possible at all, stay active on LinkedIn. From posting articles, reposting articles, commenting on articles, connecting with people. That would be like a start. And I would don't stay out of the workplace for too long. Like I think, you know, 2 years, 2 to 3 years is doable, but I wouldn't stay out of the workplace for too long. Try to go back, even if it's part-time, or even if you do some consulting on the side on projects with companies like Stantec or others. Dubai, honestly, like at least the Middle East, it's a great place to be able to do both, raise a family and have the support like surrounding you to help you with your family's needs while you express yourself at work and follow your career as much as you can. Is that helpful?
That's really helpful, definitely. And I think as well, there's a lot more flexibility coming in with companies across the region. I think, you know, companies have recognised, even if they weren't flexible before, that really to get that level of diversity that we need to be successful and have that gender balance and the offering that, you know, female engineers bring to the companies, that they have to have that flexibility in there. And it's just so nice seeing those changes over the past couple of years.
Absolutely. I think the flexibility also is key. And, you know, thankfully, we can do both. We can do both.
Yeah, it is definitely doable. Yeah, it can be challenging, but it's doable. All right, thanks, Nahid. I can see, Rowan, you've got your hand up, so I'm going to just enable your microphone. Hang on. Let me just see what I can do.
Got it.
You're there. It's done.
Yeah.
It's done already. Oh, there we go.
Perfect. Thank you. So this is actually a proud moment to hear all of your achievements, and like we can see and even cherish where you are today, aside from, I'm sure, all of the tough circumstances or challenges that you went with. I mean, life cannot be free of those. But if I want to ask about like what can be your main goal or target that you're still aiming for, that you think it's not fulfilled yet from your side, because I'm sure like we're all here very optimistic, and as well like we have bigger goals to achieve. So I think it would be interesting to me to hear it. Thank you all.
Great question. Inas, would you like to take that one? What are you still shooting for?
Very important question. I'm looking for having a project without any problem, without any it can, yeah, what I mean, I'm looking for, because every project we have, there is some problem, there is some we face challenging in each project. So we have to learn from that, and we have to apply it in the other project to not have the same problem. So this is what I'm looking for. In every agreement, in every project, I have to learn from the past. So this is what, until I reach a project, there is no problem. I solve everything.
This project, oh wow, that'd be a great project to be part of. So yeah. Because
every project is, for me, it is unique, yani. Yeah. So I have, sure, I will have a problem, but I mean, the already problem I have faced it in a previous project, I shouldn't, I should avoid it. I should have to learn how to avoid to have the same problem in other project. So this is my goal in every project I have go through. Before I prepare myself in tendering, in the design phase, that I take every item or every problem I faced it before. I take my I have to take it in my mind to and I solve it in the next project. So I will not. Okay, I'm sure I will face another problem, but at least I will not face the same problem again and again. So this is my what I'm looking for in the future, yani.
Right. Yeah, I think we can always strive for just trying to learn from the past and make, you know, every project the best that we can, for sure. Salson, do you want to add something to that? Is there something that you're still aiming for?
Well, I'm hoping to work with a client with no problems and deliver a project with no delays, on time, no dispute, payments on time. That's what I want to do, actually.
A good answer, and I think, yeah, that's the reality, isn't it? Some of the challenges that we have as well. You know, there's challenges from all angles in delivering our project. What about you, Shahad? It's a great question, so I'm going to ask everybody.
I agree. It's a great question, especially for me as in the beginning of my career. But what have been mostly on my mind, to be honest, is preparing myself to obtain master's degree. So maybe you guys could give me advice about this. But I'm considering within like few years of experience, I want to like obtain 6 to 5 years of experience, and then I can pursue my master's. And that way I can even decide exactly which field I could be studying. So yeah.
We made some.
If there is any advice
anyway, I'm sure Sheikh
I could be using it.
Yeah, give Sheikh a call afterwards.
Sure, of course.
Advise you. All right, Leslie, what about you? What would you like to add to that?
So I did my master's Shahad, and I would say do it sooner rather than later. I don't think you need to get to a certain number of years before you attempt to, or before you start it.
No, I agree.
I would actually
I'm working on a project that is really interesting.
Yeah. There's never an ideal time. It's going to be a lot of extra work. But for me, I suppose the one challenge that I have never, ever got round to doing is getting APM accredited. It's always been on my New Year list for this is going to happen this year, and I just never get round to doing it. So that is still a challenge for me that I intend to tick that box, become MAPM as well.
Association of Project Management Professionals.
Correct. Yeah.
Good answer. Has anybody else got any questions? I don't see any more hands up in the chat. Nothing in the question box. Some nice comments and thank yous to everybody, which is really nice to hear. I've got there we go. I've got the results of the poll. People have been voting. So we've actually got 38% of the people here are civil engineers. That's quite a popular one. 34% architect. Almost a 50-50. And then we've got some mechanical, some electrical, some structural, a couple of environmental, no geotechnical or chemical engineering. But so a nice spread. All right. Any more questions from anyone before we close? Oh, so we've got one, I think. Hang on, let me just make sure I can get. So Sini has got a question. Let me just see if I can unmute you. Oh no, there we go. Already done. Far away.
Yeah, I can talk. Yeah. Thanks, Claire. And it's a really nice forum to be in and to listen to the great engineers we have within Stantec and in the Middle East, let's say. My question is specifically to Leslie and Sausan. I happen to work with both of them, and they really inspire me about the work what they do. And there is a myth in construction industry that women can't do. Women is not able to do either with commercial or operations to an extent. I'm not saying that it's not happening, but it's not my thought as well. But that is a myth. But these two are legit to me at least. The way they react to situation, because I work with Leslie shortly, but it's a brief. But I know how she's capable of, and with Sausan it's unimaginable because where we were and where we are, it's completely different stage. So I want to understand what kind of hurdles they had across their career and how they became like this at the high point on their career. And it will be great advice to the rest of the people in the forum, and we can take away some key points out of it if you don't mind.
Thanks, Sini.
Yeah, I can answer that, and thank you, Sini, for this question. And actually, it's the experience that you have across the year. The more projects you are engaged with, the more challenges that I'm sure that everyone will have in their future, and I had in my career. That's what compile at the end to give you this insight about the life cycle of the project, how it goes from starting up to closing out. And in each state and each challenge in your life, you learn something new. You gain the experience, and you know how to sort those issues and how to solve those problems. For me, it was lesson learned, and you learned it really by the hard way. But the lesson learned that you have from all the projects that you have delivered and the clients that you have dealt with, this is what at the end give you this, if you want to call it, the character to be able to solve the problems whenever it comes, or even foreseeing it and be prepared for it. I mean, that's what helped me in my career, is the experience. If you have the experience, if you delivered the project, if you dealt and engaged with too many clients, too many people, you will gain that experience, and you will be able to in the future to sort out any problem.
Thanks, Sausan. Leslie?
I think, Sini, the only thing that I would want to add to that is that, you'll often find situations where you personally cannot solve the problem, and so you reach out to people. And Sausan and I speak, probably not enough, Sausan, but fairly regularly, and share our experiences. We're able to talk about what has brought us to where we are today, and yeah, we share that experience and learn from each other as well. So, everything is being part of a team. Creating that environment where you can discuss and be very open and face challenges also together. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Osman. Thanks, Leslie. Really appreciate that.
Everybody. Well, we're just about at the hour. I don't think there's any more questions. So really the last thing from me is to thank everybody again. We really appreciate it. Happy International Women in Engineering Day. Thank you for all the differences that you're making, and thank you for giving up your time today. I know you're all very, very busy, so we really appreciate it.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes, thanks, Claire.
Thank you.
Thanks,
for
everyone.
having us.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.